Hello, my name is Delvin Molden, creator and producer of The Original OGs. In this special two-part series, you will not see our popular OG marquee stationed behind our guests. Why? Because as fascinating and unique and oddity as this story might be, it's also as tragic, hurtful, and painful to the family, friends, and community of the victim. Me, along with my producer partner, Mr. Rick, in no way want to use our platform to promote violence of any sort. But we also are committed to bring to you real stories, origin stories, from the men and women who actually live those lives. Today's story is no different. This story is very unique in a sense. We ask that you be patient and understanding. So please, like always, remember to like, subscribe, and share. I present to you the Puppet Master.
So hear what I say, for it is the truth you see. There can only be one, the original.
OG, two letters that define respect. Welcome to the original OGs. I created the original OGs to document the forgotten parts of American history. I want to recognize and give a voice to the men and women that have climbed to the top of their game. Believe me, the men and women that sit in front of this marquee have been authenticated as original OGs. My name is Mr. Rick. Welcome to my world. A world of the originals, the unique. Welcome to the original OGs.
You know, a lot of people wonder if my story is true because it's so unbelievable. And yet, I figured this time I wanted to demonstrate to you how my life was. For years, I wore handcuffs. For years, I wore this outfit that you're looking at. This is not something I bought from Dick's or something. This is the actual outfit that I wore for 44 years while in prison. For 44 years while living behind them walls of broken dreams. For 44 years enduring the heartaches and pain. And listening every time I make a phone call to someone tell me that this family member, that family member, my brother, my aunt, my uncle, my grandmother, everyone have died. And I wasn't allowed to even go and see to their funeral. So yes, it is very much real. I wouldn't sit here and fake something like this. I wouldn't sit here and lie to you. I would sit here and tell the truth because the truth is more interesting. A lot of people ask me other questions. Did you really get sentenced with your dummy? Yes, I did. Court records and everything verified what I said. Matter of fact, let me share with you how sentencing day went. And I'm going to try to be scripted so you can fully understand the contents of what I'm saying. Before sentencing day, Curtis, that's the name of my dummy. The judge had removed him from the courtroom, called the bellet. Bellet, remove whatever that is from my courtroom because he was being distracted, disorderly. Because he was fighting for my freedom as I was fighting for my freedom as well. So he was removed. But on sentencing day, it didn't make a difference because now I've been found guilty to 30 to life. And now I was on my way to the big boy house. Curtis was there on sentencing day. And he was pitching a fit. He was telling the judge from across the room. He was in my girl's arm, one of the young lady that I associated with. He was in her arm. And I was able to throw my voice as if he was talking from behind us. And he kept talking. And the judge kept saying, order in the court, but he kept talking. And he kept pleading with the judge to let me go, and that he had committed the crime, and that he wanted to do the time. But the judge said, you know what? I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this. Since you're so adamant about going to prison, he said, you two belong together. He came real short saying you two dummies belong together, but he called himself. And next thing you know, he said, Bellet, go get, what's your friend name? I said, Curtis Fly Johnson III. He said, go get Curtis Fly Johnson III. But he said it real sarcastically. Brought him up. Next thing you know, the deputy, the DA, he protested, but Your Honor, they're making a mockery of the court. And the judge looked at him like, shut up, this is my courtroom. He gave him that look, and he did something with his hands, so he must have gave him signals to shut up. So they brought Curtis up, put him in my arms. Next thing you know, Curtis, a dummy now, was right in handcuffs with me. And together, we walked from that courtroom to the elevator, upstairs to the 3rd floor, because that's where I was housing. And that's how Curtis and I began our journey. Now, if you really want to hear in full details things that were said and everything, then just check out my webpage and Dummy Detectives, and you'll see all the photos you need to see. You'll hear what the judge actually said, and you'll read other things that took place. I was 21 years old. Actually, I was 20. My birthday came up, and then I became 21. So I moved from the minor pit, they called that the pit, and they put me in the adult, where the adults were, 21 and older. That was a trip, because now everything's coming to reality. Everything's coming in a way that is moving so fast. I don't know, it's like I'm in a dream, or if I did get high, I would have been drunk from everything that was going on. But I don't get high, nor do I drink. Curtis was talking to me because he knew I was scared to death. And I really needed that aspect of my life, because for years, ever since the death of my father, ever since Curtis was born from that tragic accident, murder or death, depends on who's speaking about it, Curtis had been in my life all that time. We've never been separated. So now, here we are on our way to prison, Attica, the big boy house, as they called it. And that was something entirely frightening in so many ways. Attica had just had a riot a few months just before, and the prison itself had been closed down. So they wasn't accepting anyone at that particular time. So next thing you know, they opened it up, and I was on my way to Attica. Now, Attica, for those of you who don't know what Attica looks like, it's a facility in New York. It was also the facility where they had many of riots, but the one that they're famous for is the Attica riot, where over 40 different individuals was killed, correction officers and inmates. Because the inmates had swapped outfits. They had outfits on with the COs. So they was hoping to walk out through the confusion and escape that way, but COs were shooting them anyway. They was making sure no one left that facility alive. And that's the way that took place. My mom God bless her. My mom is 16 years older than I. She had me when she was 16. So she was in her 30s, early 30s, when all of this took place. She cried. And that's a heartfelt, chilling, eerie sound when you hear your mother break down in the courtroom the way she did and pleaded with the judge, pleaded with the court people not to take her baby from her, not to take her baby away from her. And even though I wanted to break down, I couldn't because I had to show strength. So as I stood there looking at her, I wanted to, but I didn't. I wanted to run to her and give her a hug, but I couldn't. I wanted to tell her that everything's going to be all right and that I'm going to survive and I'm going to make it. But I didn't have those words to speak to her because I wasn't sure myself if I was going to make it. And even though my main man, my best friend, Curtis, was with me now, I still wasn't sure. That's what happened when you enter into a world that you know nothing about. That's what happened when you find yourself on the way to prison. So to even think for a second that what I experienced is not real, it is real. It is very much real in so many ways. So yes, everything I'm telling you is real. So yes, everything I've experienced over these 44 years that I was incarcerated was real. As I shared with you, after I was going to commit suicide because when we went through everything, they took Curtis from me. And the reason why, because they wanted to x-ray him, make sure there was no weapons, make sure there was no explosive. They wanted to make sure there was nothing inside of him that I could use to escape. He's made of solid wood, so everything is wood except for his clothing. And then they beefed and cried about his clothing because at that time they was blue and no inmates was allowed to wear blue. But the superintendent told the correction officers, if anyone, any inmate can put on that dummy clothing and walk out of this prison, he said they deserve to get out. So I don't want to hear nothing else about the dummy's clothing. So as time went by, after I stepped off my bunk and took the noose from around my neck, and I took heed to what the feed-up man, which was a porter who happened to come by, and he talked to me. After I took the rope from around my neck, or the bed sheet, I knew I could make it. But I had to think about things that would ease my mind. Even though they were tragic events, nevertheless, they were things that take me away from where I was at. I thought about my mom and the heartaches and pain that she went through. And then I thought about the judge, his interaction. I thought about how he sat there and looked at me and made faces. The same type of look that I've received from the Ku Klux Klans and KKKs when I lived in the state of Kentucky. Only at least with them, they wore white robes and they let it be known that I didn't like you. I hated you. I want to kill you if I could. And I can if you give me a reason. But he wore a black robe. But yet the anger and the hatred was still written on his face. I thought about a lot of things, but my thoughts was interrupted because now the jury was coming in. And now, just like I was trying to read the judge's face expression, I was looking at each one that came in and trying to read their expression, trying to see whether or not they was going to find me guilty or not guilty. So when they came in, the judge asked the foreman, it was a heavy-set guy, have y'all reached a decision? He said, yes. He said, pass it to me. So he gave it to the ballot. The judge looked at it. Now I'm really looking at his expression. But he showed none. Gave the paper back to the foreman, and the foreman read it. We, the jury, find, and they called my name, guilty. And when they said guilty, my heart was beating so fast, I thought it was going to stop there for a minute. Guilty of second-degree murder. So when he said second-degree murder, actually I thought he said second-degree manslaughter, because with manslaughter, I knew I could only get 7.5 to 15. I mean, it's still a lot of time, but I thought it said second-degree manslaughter. That was one of the charges. They could have found me guilty if they wanted to. And I actually smiled. And when I did that, what did I do that for? The judge looked at me, and the look he gave me was like, wow. So then after that, my lawyer hit me, and I said, manslaughter? He said, no, second-degree murder. And then that changed everything. So I stood there listening to them go through that whole proceeding. It was like, after hearing second-degree murder, knowing that now I face 25 to life, everything else was like blah, 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 blah. I was hearing what they were saying, but I wasn't comprehending it. I wasn't understanding it. Everything had shut down. I couldn't even hear Curtis' voice. His voice wasn't even there. That's how much in shock I was. So anyway, after that, they turned around and said, all right, remanded me back to the court upstairs where I went. And then they gave a sentencing date. After all of that, I'm sitting on the bed. I'm no longer crying, because everything my father had taught me, everything I had been through about a man should not cry, a man should not show weakness, I pulled myself together, because now Curtis was talking to me. He said, man, if they hear you in here crying like a little bitch, next thing you know, they're going to make you into a bitch. And that was running through my head. Even though they hadn't given them back to me yet, but still the connection there, I could still hear his thoughts or hear his words. So I dried my eyes, I pulled myself together. And that's how that took place. Once I pulled myself together, and it took them a week later before they actually gave me Curtis. Now, once they gave me Curtis, that was like making me whole again. Two halves coming together. And now, I knew with him in my arms, I could handle anything. I didn't care who the biggest, baddest gangster individual inside the prison was. As long as I had Curtis with me, I had confidence in myself. And believe me, there was a lot of well-known murderers, serial killers, that I went to the yard with. Ronnie DeFeo, Amityville Horror. He killed his whole family. And he said Jody made him do it, which was a dog. Son of Sam, David Berkowitz, the 44 caliber killer. He killed 9 or 10 different people. The list could go on and on and on. But I used those two names because those two people became my friends. You develop friendship, a bond with certain people. Not everyone, because everyone don't have your best interests at heart. Everyone don't care about you. Everyone, and at that time, the booty bandit people are trying to figure ways they could get to you and have sex with you, or rape you, or whatever they wanted to do. So now I got all of this on my mind, because I'm in a world that makes no sense at all, even though I was trying to make sense of that which I was living in. But you can't. And then the guys, they have ways picking on you. Walk down the gallery, fresh meat, new meat, fresh meat. Yeah, all right then. Wonder what he looked like with some Kool-Aid on his lips. That's lipstick. What he look like in the shower. Yeah, well, you hear all of that. But Curtis, being the way he was, when they make a comment, he made a comment back. What do you look like with blood running out of you? What do you look like with a hole in the top of your head? What do you look like with your head cracked open like a coconut? So let's play this game. So that's why I said I wasn't fearful no more, because I knew I had him there to protect me. And nothing was going to bother me, or no one was going to bother me as long as I had him. Now, with Curtis, I didn't give myself the name Chris the Puppet Master. That was a name that was given to me by population. And at first, I didn't like it because I felt puppet master. I'm not a puppet master, I'm Chris. And I still had that pimpish frame of mind. I'm a player, I'm a pimp, I'm not a puppet master. But as time went by, I accepted it. And I allowed the name to become a part of my personality. And then I started cutting it short like puppet. And I didn't like that, but all right, I accepted that. Walking the yard with a dummy in your arm was crazy. Walking down the corridor with a dummy in your arms was crazy. Living behind them walls of broken dreams with a dummy locking in your cell with you, double bunking with you, was crazy. But yet, we survived it. We endured it. We did it. Curtis had his group of friends. I had my group of friends. Curtis was a gangster. If you was a rapo, if you were a snitch, if you were any of those individuals that was considered foul, he had nothing to do with you. Me, on the other hand, I'm a happy-go-lucky type of guy. I accepted everyone because when you're in prison, you want everyone to accept you. Then that way, hopefully, they don't want to rape you. So that's the way I was thinking. Curtis was thinking about putting a shank in someone. And a few times, he talked to me about doing it with certain people. But I wouldn't allow him to do it because I didn't want to get more time added to my time. And I didn't want to go to SHU, which is the box, solitary confinement. Curtis was straightforward, as I stated. Even till this day, he very much straightforward. He tell it like it is. If he like it, he like it. If he didn't, he take it the fuck out of his face. That's just the way he talked. And the stories, a lot of guys were scared of him because they thought it was some demonic type stuff going on. And if someone did say something stupid, one thing I didn't allow is for anyone to call him a dummy. I didn't allow that. You got two straight up, all right, that's number one, that's number two. On number three, you got a choice. You can fight with me, you can fight with Curtis, or you can fight with the both of us. Now, some of you say, well, how would he fight with Curtis? Well, I was able to do certain things that a lot of people wasn't able to do. I was able to allow Curtis to take control of my body. And I know some of you going right now, you're like, what? I'm telling the truth. I was able to allow him to take control of my body. Everything, move and everything, only it would be his voice. I would see through my eyes, but I'm looking through his eyes. And he would fight with the guy. But the only problem that I really had was Curtis had no filter. And he was good and strong. They call it dummy strength. I just call him, he was just strong, had no fear in him whatsoever. So if you fight with him, if he had 100 fights, he had 100 wins because he never lost a fight. And then there was time when I fight with someone. Now my record is nowhere near his record. Sometime I win, sometime I lose. Because you got to remember, at that time, at the beginning of my bid, I was only 135 pounds. These guys are lifting 500 pounds in the yard, deadlifting 800 pounds, squatting 600 or 700 pounds. These were some strong, big guys. And their weight was up. Mine was down. But see, I had a weapon. I had Curtis. And therefore, I don't care who they were, he was able to take care of them. So after proving myself worthy to receive respect, in some way I demanded it, I want to tell you how I had to let him go. It was 10 years into my bid. By this time, everybody's respecting us. Now, in 10 years, I done went from 135 pounds to 235 pounds. So I done gained almost 100, over 100 pounds, 235, and was strong. Oh, I was strong. And respected. But I also, had, by that time, had found my wife through one of the ads that I spoke about earlier. But this one was a newspaper article also that I wrote. And I wrote an article in there called The Real Prison. And I spoke on that. And that's what touched her. But next thing you know, the pimp part of me, the player part of me, the foolish part of me started looking at this woman in a different light. Because even though I had been in prison 10 years, I still hadn't learned too much of anything. But after a while, I started learning. I started putting myself in different other people's predicament. And I thought about the death of my father and how I felt. I thought about different other things, death of loved ones and how I felt. Now, a lot of my friends, like I had spoke about, Kurt, Ronnie DeFeo, Son of Sam, Joe, Mad Dog Sullivan, a lot of different ones, even the Preppy Killer. He was my friend too. Larry Davis, my friends. All of these was friends of mine. And we was able to talk with each other because we didn't have to front with one another. We was real as we shared our story. And each one had a story. Boy, did they have a story. And we spoke to each other real because they knew that whatever they shared with me, I would keep it between them and I, or I and them. I know things about Son of Sam that I would never share with anyone. Until this day, he is still a friend of mine. I know things about Ronnie DeFeo. Good things, bad things. Actually, I was even his best friend and best man at his wedding. As I bring this to an end, I would like to share with you certain things because one thing is we can never relive what we've already lost. Once it's gone, it's gone. I would like to take you down memory lane just a little bit. This here is a photo of me when I was so-called pimping. Young, handsome. I had an afro like Michael Jackson. And I took pride in my afro. That's before the Jerry curls and all that other stuff came out. But nevertheless, this was me. This was me then. This is me now. Me at 16. Me now at 66. This here is my mom. That's my mom. Like I said, she's 16 years older than me, but that's my mom. We look a lot. But anyway, next picture I'd like to share with you. Picture of my son. He was only 4 months old when I went to incarcerated, when I went to prison. Boy, that afro, every time I see that afro, I say, wow, I had an afro. And that was my son. I'm not going to call him by name, but he was 4 months old. So when I got out of prison, he's 44 years old. And the relationship that he and I have, well, we're still working on it because he still blamed me. He was put in a foster home after I was incarcerated. And he grew up and he was abused and he went through hell in a foster home. So a lot of foster homes are not good homes. And because he was mixed, he looked white, but he act black. They tried to beat the black out of him. So he went through hell. And that was my fault. Because if I'd have stayed out, I'd have been able to raise him. But then again, I think about it this way. If I'd have raised him, I'd have wanted him to be a pimp. And I'm glad I didn't raise him. So he became a better man without me than with me. While I was in prison, the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, they did a newspaper article with me. And they came down and took us in a room, Curtis, and they wrote an article called The Making of a Murderer. That was the article. And that was the picture. It's in black and white of Curtis. And you can't really see it, but that's a blue outfit that he got on. That's what I was talking about, the blue. And that's Curtis Fly Johnson. All right. Matter of fact, in this next picture, you can see it. My wife and I, we was on festivals. And all the kids loved Curtis because to them, he was a kid. And this would see the brick walls. The brick walls are prison walls with gun towers and guys up there with guns ready to shoot anyone that tried to go over them walls. But that was Curtis. And them little kids, they done grew up now and got kids of their own. And that was my wife, you know, and she was much younger then. But that's Curtis and I there. In this picture, older picture. I mean, actually years, 60, I'm 66 in this picture. And that's my whole crew. 66. It's hard to me believe that I'm that age. But when I look at pictures of my younger self and then my older self, I see the difference. But that's my boys. Racist Larry, who's not racist. Playboy, Uncle Walter, and Curtis Fly Johnson. This here, these are the IDs that they give you when you're first incarcerated. This ID here, it was given to me. Look how young I was. Now this next ID, it was given to me the day I was released, June 2nd, 2022. That's when I was released. That's when the parole board, after 8 appearances, finally let me go. They made me do another 14 years more. That's how I ended up with 44 years. I thought it would be, since I'm wearing a prison outfit and since I'm showing prison pictures, I thought it would be nice of me to read to you. This is my parole decision, the last one that was given to me. And it says, open date, earliest release date, 6/30/2022. But they gave me, or earlier, but they gave me an earlier date, almost 28 days earlier, because I got out June 2nd, 2022. Your release should in no way be interpreted as mitigated or discounting the seriousness of your action when you and your co-defendant caused your victim's painful death. You were 20 years old at that time, and abusive pimp who engaged in a form of discipline we can only call torture. However, this is an open date to the parole supervising on your 8th parole board appearance before this board. In large part, on all relevant factors under the law to be considered, including, but not limited to, your sentence of 30 years to life, for which you have served over 44 years. Your lack of prior criminal history, I had no criminal history. Your lack of substance abuse history, I used no drugs or alcohol. Your low risk compass score. Low risk compass score is when it's a way for them to say, we feel that he'll go out and do this, or we feel that he won't do something. And they base their decision on that. Your case plan reflecting accomplishment, your institutional goals, your good behavior, discipline record. I had went 22 years without an infraction. I had 9 infractions total during the 44 years that I was incarcerated. Some people get 9 a week. Okay. Your education achievement. I gained my GED, and then I became a facilitator of all the therapeutic programs, educational program, family networking, all the positive programs. I became a part of it. Not only did I become a part of it, I became a facilitator. And I did that for years because I wanted to know how to live a life without crime and how to live a life as a productive citizen. Your case plans reflect that you have written and published several books, 20 books in all. Incarcerated at the age of 20. You're now 64 because I've been out 2 years. I was 64 when they released me. Your mental health. I had no mental health. Your performance during the interview, including your insight, rehabilitation, and during your questioning. And they questioned me over and over and over. The sentencing minutes and representation from your lawyers and positive communication from other staff members that you have worked under and worked with. Your expression of remorse and the position of trust that you are assigned in the facility, including ILC, which is Inmate Liaison Committee, and mentor to other students, other convicts, and different other programs. You received over 300 letters of support. You received various attorneys over the years, most recently from the SUNY School of Law, and numerous of other letters where everyone, family, your wife, your mom, your children, and the Christian faith, where everyone have supported you and stated that you were not the same man that you were. Given the above, the panel believed your rehabilitation is completed and that your release is compatible with the public safety and the welfare of society. In other words, the handcuff was taken off and I was free to come back to society, free to come home to my family and loved ones, free to enjoy the comfort of my home with a real bed, with going out or whatever, free to be with my wife who had been with me. Now, at that time, 38 years, but 2 years free, 40 years. To be with my mom, I'm blessed, who's still alive. To be with my children. To be with my friends, my brothers. Well, as far as friends, I didn't have many of them. A lot of them have died. But I was free. And free to take this monkey suit off. Yeah, I went to prison because I knew his ass couldn't survive in prison. He was cuter than most men, and he looked like a little bitch anyway, but still. And I knew they was after his ass.
So you end up going to court with this situation?
Yes, I did, and they kicked me out of court. I told them I did it. I tried to get the judge to understand that I did it and that he had nothing to do with it. But the judge, asshole, he didn't listen to me. He kept saying, no, 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 no. I wanted to kick his ass, but anyway. And then at the end, the judge said I could go. And they packed me up and put handcuffs on me. I can say that, right? Yeah, they did. They put handcuffs on you.
They put handcuffs on you, booked you, and sentenced you?
Yes, they did. I got a number, ADC 120 and a half.
Now, look at that camera right there.
What camera?
Right there.
Right there.
And tell the audience that this is no make-believe.
No, this ain't no make-believe. I went to prison. Look it up. Look up at Google. Google, Chris the Puppet Master. And you'll see pictures of me, and I did it. I went to prison to save his ass.
And how long did you spend in prison?
10 years.
10
a decade.
years. And why did you not spend as much time?
They said, well, they called me to the superintendent office. Now, by that time, a lot of things have changed. Bloods and gang members. You know I was blood. No, shh. We ain't talking about that. And gang members came and stuff like that. So they said that he was too much of a distraction. So they gave me a choice. Donate him, send him home, or destroy him.
Okay, so, Curtis, describe for me how you ended up in court and what actually happened in court. What kind of conversation went on between you and the judge?
Well, let me see. Oh, you want him to tell?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell the story. Now, we was in the courtroom, and the judge, now first, the DA, faggot, kept saying I was making a mockery of the courtroom, because I kept talking. I kept telling the judge, I did it, because I knew that Chris could not go to prison by himself. I've been with him all his life, so I knew he wasn't going to make it. And I seen them movies, so them guys were going to be after him like fly on shit. So now the judge turned around and had me removed from the courtroom. Yeah, he had me moved. Said, take the dummy out. I said, who the fuck you calling a dummy? He said, take the dummy out.
Where did they take you to?
They took me out front, out back, in some little room. I thought they were going to beat me.
Beat you for what?
I don't know. You know, why were they taking me out of the courtroom? So anyway, went back. Now I have to tell the part from there. The trial goes on, and now it's sentencing time. They done found me guilty. And now they sentencing me. So I come back to the courtroom, and my girl had brought Curtis. I'll take it from here. So I told one of my bitch, I said, bitch, you taking me back to the courtroom. And she said, well, the judge said you, I said, bitch, I said, you taking me back to the courtroom. So she did it. So when I get in the courtroom, I tell the judge, I said, listen, judge, please, 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 let me take the place of Chris, my partner, because he can't make it in the jail. Look at him. Look at him. He fine as wine. And you know, them boys in jail, they rough as nails, and they gonna have him. And there ain't no way in the world I was gonna mess around and he get out 30 years later.
So the judge actually let you get on the stand and have this conversation?
No, I said it from the seat, from the back. And then the judge said, you know what? He said, it's only adamant that I do the right thing. Since you want to go to prison, I'm going to let you go to prison. Bellet, bring that dummy up here. And they brought me up in front of the courtroom. He carried me. And I think he even pinched me a little bit. I just never told you that. What, the bellet did it? Yeah, the bellet did it. So anyway, and the judge, he said, give him to Mr. Taylor. So he gave me, so he picked me up. He said, all right, I'm sending both of you to New York State Correctional Prison. And that's how it happened. And it was hard. And when we got there, they separated us. I mean, they did all types of shit to me that should never happen to a dummy. They violated me. And I still should put charges on him. So anyway, then I find out he wanted to commit suicide. Damn punk. Leave me and you were going to kill yourself? No. So anyway, after that, they brought Kurt, what they wanted to do, because he got so many different parts on him, and a dildo. He had a 10-inch dildo that was connected to his body. Yeah, you want to see it?
No.
No, all right then. Well, quit laughing at it. So,
You end up getting how much time, Curtis?
well, they made me do 10 years, and they made him do 44.
Wow.
I tried to do it all. I was going to let him get early parole, but they gave me early parole, saying that I was being a disruption because no CO could write up the dummy. The superintendent said, never bring me a report with that dummy name on it. Curtis Fly Johnson III. No. I still laugh at that shit.
So we have actual documents proving that the judge sentenced you. You have pictures and all that.
Hell yeah. Hell
they
yeah.
booked you.
Yeah. Yeah. I got pictures of me in prison. Hell, them dummy detective books that I wrote while I was in prison. Yeah.
So all the time that you were in there, did you have a special lady or something?
I had one psychiatrist. I loved her. Oh, I drank her bathwater over crushed ice. She was so fine, but she didn't like me. I think because my wood was just not the kind of wood she wanted. I know who you're talking about. Shit. Damn right.
We can't talk about her?
Not so much talk about her. It's just he had a crush on her, and she had one on me too. You just fucked that all up. I didn't mess it up. She wasn't going to have nothing to do with you. Yes, she was. Anyway.
Did you guys share the cell together?
Yeah, we was in the same cell, and he snores, and his piss stink, and so do his shit. But he didn't ask you that.
You had nobody else in the cell? They just gave you a cell, 2 bunks?
Yeah, we were double bunking. Yep, I slept on top, he slept on the bottom. Yep, that's
Do you
the truth.
remember? Well, I know you remember when you got out.
Yeah, my wife came and picked him up. It was a sad day. Sad. Sad. So sad.
You've been in the same body all this time?
Yeah, damn, that was the same clothes. He just bought me some new clothes last week.
Damn. So, do you have other dummies
Yeah.
associated?
I got other dummies. I got Racist Larry. Yeah, I got Racist Larry. And I got Playboy, Uncle Walter.
So, Curtis, what do you think about the other 2?
He don't like them because he got to share his attention with them. I'm the one that was with you all your life. And then they come into the party and now they want to jump up and down. Fuck them.
So you were the first,
I was the first and should have been the only one
and you were the one that went
to prison.
to live with him in prison and spend life with him in Attica.
In Attica. It was life in Attica. Attica. I like Attica. Matter of fact, I wish I'd have been there for the riots.
So who was next? Who came into existence next? Racist Larry or
Yeah, racist Larry. My wife, now this is about 15 years ago. That's when them son of a bitches came. 15 years ago, it had a guy that was selling both the dummies. So I went and bought them. And I wanted racist Larry, who's not racist, because I use him to describe the racist part of my life when I was growing up in the South. Because I used to hear racist people all the time say, I'm not racist, but they was racist. So that's why I say racist Larry, but he's not racist.
so Curtis, you really don't like racist Larry, huh?
I don't like either one of them.
For what reason?
He ain't gonna say, because I've asked him myself.
Okay.
He won't even tell me. He just give me that look.
So why don't we try to let racist Larry explain his own issue?
Now, if he say anything about me, I'm gonna set his ass on fire. Okay, he ain't gonna say nothing about you. All right then. Now, as you can see, Curtis, he's way bigger than racist Larry or Playboy. He's
Why
different.
is that?
Well, I don't know. He's a different breed of dummy. And hello. I'm racist Larry, but I'm not racist. Yeah. So this is what this shit look like. Yeah.
So if you're not racist, then why are you named Racist Larry?
Hell if I know. I know my first name is racist. Middle name Larry. And Stinkbutt is my last name.
Stink butt.
Well, he got a problem hearing. Most black people do. See that?
So
You're getting racist again.
so what clicked you to make Racist Larry manifest?
Well, when my wife told me that she seen on, it was Craigslist, that two dummies were for sale, and the price of them, which was expensive, but I had money saved up, so I bought them. Now, I don't know what his name was because it didn't make no difference. Once she told me that she had bought them, I knew Racist Larry was going to be his name. So, listen, let me say something. Now, this racist shit, yes, I'm racist. I tell the world, I'm racist. But that's my first name. I'm not racist in spirit, I'm just racist by name. All right, anyway, most white people, they're scared of black people. That's the truth. And you don't have to be racist for that. That's just the truth. They scared of black people. And then they become racist, especially after black people kick their ass a few times and steal something from them. You know, that's what you people do. Quit saying you people. You know I don't like that word. So, anyway, that's the way he is.
So why don't we bring Playboy up and let's see how that works out?
Okay. Don't put me over there. Put me over here by the flowers. Okay. All righty.
So now this is Playboy.
Yeah, this is Playboy.
Why
Now-
do they call you Playboy?
Well, he
I'm talking to him.
I understand that, but, you know, being the player that he is, he try not to talk sometimes. And I got to force him to say something. He's just looking around right now. All right, then. So, anyway, he was the pimping part of myself. Yes, that's what he was, the pimping part. And that's a part that I really don't like about my past. And so sometimes I'm silent about that part of my life. So it ain't that he don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about
For
it
him.
sometimes. Yeah, well, sometimes he just quiet and I can't talk. You know, it's because I'm real smooth. So that's Rick. Mr. Rick. Yeah, I can see it. I like your shoes.
So when did you come into existence, Larry?
15 years ago, me and racist Larry, who's not racist, but he is racist, we all was brought together.
Oh, okay. So likewise, you didn't meet Curtis until he came home.
Well, yeah, I don't really care for like Curtis too much. He tried to be a bully.
What do you mean?
He tried to control us.
Oh, okay. So you can't speak unless he tells you to speak.
Well, something like that.
So how's life been since he's been home?
A lot of fun. We do a lot of TikTok stuff and a lot of YouTube and Instagram, and we even on Facebook. Yep, we're on Facebook too, right? Yep. So he's, you know, I try to be the smooth part. I don't get in trouble. Pimps don't get in trouble. We just get hoes. Oh, that almost rhymed. Yeah, it almost did.
Okay, Playboy. It was nice meeting you. Why don't you let he and I continue to converse?
Well, it was nice talking to you too. I really like your shoes.
Thank you.
All right. All right, I don't know where I'm going to put you at, Playboy. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you right here. How about that, buddy?
Okay, so we've met the dummies. We've met them all in, I don't know if we can say all in fun or all in medical science or however, either or we met them. But there's a part of this that I want to take a journey on with you without making it ugly and respecting the fact that someone did lose their life, you know, and we want to look at that as comfortably as we can without being disrespectful or not mindful of what actually occurred.
And I agree with you. The reason why, all right, these dummies, at one time I wouldn't call them dummies. Mm-hmm. Even though I had never held the other two, but still their personality and everything was within my mind.
Correct.
So just like Curtis was within my mind before I actually got him a body. But the seriousness, I don't want people to think that I'm still suffering behind schizophrenia. I'm still suffering behind the death of my father. And I'm still suffering behind the beatings and my childhood raising. No, I've gotten past that. The only thing that still bothers me, and I don't know if I ever will get past it, is causing the death of someone who didn't need to die or who didn't want to die. Understand what I'm saying? I deal with this every day. and I tried to make amends, but I can't make amends because her family, her children, they can't make amends with the loss of their mother.
Understandable.
And this is something I deal with. All those years in prisons, I remember I said that I went in illiterate, no education.
Mm-hmm.
Once I stepped off that bed, took that noose from around my neck, I changed my life. And even though Curtis was with me then at that time for 10 years, I really didn't change my life until I learned what love was about. That's when I met my wife in '84. And she and I have been together 40 years. So what I'm getting up to is this. I didn't know what love was.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to love. I knew how to act a fool. I knew how to put on a show. I knew how to cause discomfort or even bring pleasure to women and never bring pleasure to myself.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about them. Those years of being mistreated and being beaten and all of that did its job on me. But no more of a job than I did on myself.
Right.
Once I learned all these therapeutic different programs, I learned what it meant to be a father, because I took parenting class. I learned what it be to be a community leader, because I started running all these different therapeutic programs. So I did all of this because I really needed to learn how to become a human being and how to put aside multi-personalities, dummies, and all of that, how to put that to the side. But what I really needed and wanted to do was learn how to grieve over what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to find forgiveness in what I did. I lost my father at a young age. They lost their mother at a young age. They grew up without their mother. I grew up without my father. So I can relate to them, what they went through, even though I have had communication with one of them, the daughter. And we talked for almost 2 years. She wanted to come up and visit me because she needed closure. She wanted to hear from me what happened that night. She wanted to hear from me how I felt. She wanted to hear from me why her mother was in that type of lifestyle. These was answers that her grandmother, her grandfather, her aunts, uncles, and friends couldn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
So she sought me out and wanted to learn this from me. And I wanted to share with her so much I wanted to. But under the advice of lawyers and then the Department of Correction, I wasn't allowed to do it. And I was coming up on my parole boards. And even though I kept getting hit, I went to 8 different parole boards.
Mm.
That's how come 30 to life turned into 44 years to life.
Mm.
And so I wrote it all out in a letter to her, explaining what took place that night. And
Let's
hear me out, because I have to say this, because I'm quite sure she's going to be watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the camera. Everything I wrote in the letter to you, I was sincere about it. Everything I told you, I was sincere about it. Everything that I've done from that point to this point is in honor of your mother. I know what it feels like to lose someone you love, even though you were still young when she was killed, when she was murdered, when she went away by my doing. You still know the absence of a mother. I tried over these years to make up for that. But how do you make up for the loss of someone that you really didn't get to know, you really didn't get to love, you really didn't have them helping you, you really didn't do none of the things that a mother and daughter, a mother and son were supposed to do and what they were supposed to have. So she did not get to meet your daughter, which is her granddaughter. She did not get to do the things with your family that she should have done. And I caused that pain, I caused that hate, I caused that. And no matter how much therapeutic programs I participate, how much educational program, how many books I write, none of that will replace the emptiness that you feel in your heart for your mom. None of that. This video, what we're doing here, the only reason why I agreed to do it, so that I could talk to you. I wanted to let you know how sorry I am, and I can't get over it. I can't get over it. You can't get over it. All of us have lost so much. Whether it was by my hands or whether by someone else's hand, we lost so much. I don't pimping and stuff. That was a lifestyle that I chose to be a part of. Never again would I promote it. And even though we're doing the OGs, doing this whole thing, I haven't really talked about the pimping part because I don't want to talk about the pimping part. What I'm doing now is talking to you.
This is the opportunity for you to take advantage of, to talk to her. This is something you've been wanting to say, and we want to give you the opportunity to say it and express it with as much time as you need to express it.
Let me say this too. You and your brother. I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's the honest God truth. I'm at fault. Yes, I caused the death of your mother. I did that. But was it intentional? No. I did not intend to do it. I did not set out like I was some type of crazy-ass murderer or wanted to kill somebody. I've never killed nobody before. I never caused nobody that type of harm. And I definitely didn't want to do that to her or anyone. What I wrote to you in your letters and explained to you how it happened, that's the way it happened. Now I have children of my own. When that happened, I didn't have no children of my own. So I know what it is to be a father, to be a parent. And I know what it is to want your children, just like I know what you feel to want your mother, to want your parents. And regardless of what lifestyle they chose, it doesn't take away the fact that she gave you birth. She gave you birth. And I took that away from you. So these clothes, the dummies, that's why I'm selling them. I'm hoping somebody will buy them from me. If they don't buy them from me, then I'm going to find some kind of way I'll donate them to this museum they got in Kentucky. I don't want to have nothing to do with them. I just want to continue living my life as the man I should have been before all of this took place. You told me once, you said, I don't hate you. No. Because I hate myself. I hate myself. Oh, boy. I'm just asking you to understand that it wasn't meant to happen. I didn't mean to do it. And if I did mean to do it, I would say I did it and I was wrong for that part, but I didn't. And I'm wrong for it, but not in that aspect. Now, you all asked me, thank you for listening to me. Thank you. You all asked me, what would I tell my younger self? See, you can't tell words to your younger self when you don't know what words to tell your younger self, because all my life I was told what to do, what to feel, how to feel, and the reason why I was getting lesson beatings, and the reason why I did this, and the reason why I did that. So my younger self wouldn't have listened to anything that I had to say. If he was sitting right here in Mr. Rick's seat, he would not listen to me. He wouldn't listen to me. Because he didn't know how to listen. He didn't know how to listen. He knew how to do, but he didn't know how to listen. He didn't know how to love. He knew how to take beatings and not cry. He knew how to do. This is what he knew. Now I know entirely different. I'm sorry if I messed up your show, but
No, you haven't messed up anything.
I had to say this to them.
That's what we wanted you to say. We wanted you to express you. This ain't about us.
So there's no need in talking to my younger self, because that part of me is dead. I honor your death of your mother by doing right, by working with people, helping people. That's how I honor her. Not by killing myself.
You know, I'm listening to you. I hope they're listening to you. Most of all, I hope the audience is listening. And for one reason, if you're abusing your children, pay attention to the results. Pay attention to the outcome of what this gentleman is saying. You're creating a situation, and there's more than one way to do that. I'm just saying, be mindful of how you treat your children. I have children. I wasn't the best father. I sometimes want to do like he and explain myself. But we're trying to communicate with you so that 30 years from now, 40 years from now, there's not another child sitting here explaining this journey. That's what we're trying to prevent. This is the original OGs. We take responsibility of our community and our children, and we bring interviews like this to try to inform you and prevent situations like this. This is not about how we can get ratings or how we get views or how we make. This ain't that. I feel you, brother. I hope you feel us. We have created this show so that men and women alike can come forward and tell their truth. If you have people that you believe to be an OG, go into the comment section, write us, let us know where to find the history so that we can authenticate it, bring them on the show, tell their story so that we can add to the American history. That's it. That's all.
The original.